أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي ربي زدني علما. Okay, as previously we have already talked about the two different types of respiration, that was aerobic and anaerobic. And in the case of fermentation, that is the type of also called as anaerobic respiration, or which is without oxygen presence. We talked about, again, it's two types. First one was the alcohol fermentation, second one was the lactic acid fermentation. Now, one point I would like to add in here is the product that is formed as a result. We have got ethyl alcohol along with carbon dioxide in case of alcohol fermentation. And similarly, we have got lactic acid as a product in case of lactic acid fermentation. But if you can see, in both the cases, we have also got a total 2 ATPs of energy. So previously, if you remember that in the first lesson of regarding respiration, when we talked about the number of ATPs that we had got after the respiration, or the breakdown of one molecule of glucose, was 36 ATPs. So 36 ATPs versus 2 ATPs. So there's a hell of difference between the product of the amount of ATPs formed, the amount of energy formed between two processes. So aerobic respiration always gives you more number of energy molecules, that is ATPs, as compared to the anaerobic respiration. So that is the major reason when our body is shifted from aerobic to anaerobic, we are getting lethargic. We are getting we are going into the phase of energy less period, right? So what is the reason? That the amount of energy is actually increased, but the total breakdown of glucose is not providing you as much energy as compared to when oxygen was there. Now, if you're going to talk about the respiration formulas and aerobic respiration, as we have already discussed, that glucose is going to combine with oxygen. So C6H12O6 plus O2 is actually the oxidation of the glucose, right? Oxidation of glucose means reaction with oxygen. So glucose is going to react with oxygen to produce carbon dioxide, water, along with 36 ATPs of energy. On the other hand, if I'm talking about anaerobic respiration, the formula is just going to be C6H12O6, that is simple glucose. And you can see that on reactant side, we do not have any oxygen at all. No oxygen molecule is there. So that means that is the complete absence of oxygen, and the molecule of one glucose is going to be converted into C2H6O, which is ethyl alcohol, and also called as C2H5OH, right? So C2H6O or C2H5OH is the ethyl alcohol along with carbon dioxide and two molecules of ATP. Similarly, in case of anaerobic respiration of lactic acid fermentation type, again, we have a glucose without without oxygen on the reactant side. So this glucose, with the help of enzyme, is just going to be broken down into C3H5O3, which is the formula for lactic acid, along with 2 ATPs of energy. So overall, we have got 2 ATPs in case of any type of anaerobic respiration, whether it is going to take place in case of yeast, means microorganisms, as in case of alcohol fermentation, or it is going to occur inside the body of any animal, inside the body of humans. The total net amount of energy received or produced is actually 2 ATPs, which is way too less than the amount of ATP produced in case of aerobic respiration. This is overall diagram of cycle of energy in life. You can see, if I'm talking about carbon dioxide and water on the left-hand side, you can see on the screens. This is carbon dioxide and water from the environment, means carbon dioxide is coming from air, water is coming from air as well as ground. So both of the things are going to be captured by the chlorophyll in the chloroplast, as you can see. There sunlight is present, so along with carbon dioxide and water, in the presence of sunlight, as a process of photosynthesis, glucose and oxygen are produced. Simply carbon dioxide and water on the reactant side, and product is glucose and oxygen in the presence of sunlight. The upper half process is called as photosynthesis, which occurs in chloroplast. While the lower half of the process, lower half cycle, if you can see, this glucose and oxygen is again going to react in the membranes of mitochondria, And as a result, this glucose, after reacting with oxygen, is going to be converted into carbon dioxide and water along with energy molecule. So if you can see it clearly, it is a complete cycle of energy in life. Whatever is being used as reactant side in the case of photosynthesis is a result of respiration. And whatever is going to be the reactant side for the respiration, the other one is just going to be the result of the respiration, which is being used by the photosynthesis. So this is just alternate thing, or you can say respiration and photosynthesis are just opposite to each other. How in photosynthesis, carbon dioxide and water are going to be used up, while in respiration, carbon dioxide and water are going to be released. Similarly, in case of photosynthesis, glucose and oxygen are being made, while in case of respiration, glucose and oxygen are being consumed. So, and the third important difference is when we talk about photosynthesis, chemical energy is being produced in case of food, like so stored form of energy is there, while in case of mitochondria, energy is being produced, which is not being stored, rather it is being consumed for different processes. So this was all about the cycle of energy in life. So the next thing that is coming your way is actually the comparison, जिसको हमने just slightly touch किया है. Now we are going to get into the details. Aerobic respiration on one hand side requires molecular oxygen. Why? Because glucose molecule that needs to be broken down needs oxygen. That is called as oxidation of glucose, just to make it converted into simple products. That is called as glycolysis. The glycolysis ke liye we always use oxygen in case of aerobic respiration, while in case of anaerobic respiration, as the word indicates, we do not require molecular oxygen. First difference. Second, respiratory substrate is fully oxidized. Respiratory substrate क्या चीज है? Substrate होता है जिसके ऊपर हम काम कर रहे होते हैं. Just like I have explained already कि जब आप English grammar के अंदर एक word use करते हो object, ठीक है? एक होता है subject, एक होता है object. Object on which the action is being done, right? So similarly, in case of science, in case of biology, we use the word substrate. So what is substrate in case of aerobic respiration? For example, glucose. ठीक है, but don't forget कि आप जो food items खाते हो वो सिर्फ glucose में convert नहीं होता, वो amino acids में भी convert हो रहा है. अगर I'm talking about proteins, if I'm talking about oils and fats, it is going to be converted into fatty acids and cholesterol. So the most easiest one that we normally talk about is glucose. So in case of a respiratory substrate here, I actually mean the glucose. So glucose is fully oxidized, means it's fully getting reacted with the oxygen to get converted completely. While in case of anaerobic respiration, respiratory substrate is incompletely or partially oxidized. So that is the reason कि वो 100% water और carbon dioxide में convert होने की बजाय एक middle product में convert हो जाता है, which is either alcohol or lactic acid. यहाँ पर मैं आपको एक और information या एक और चीज देना चाहूँगी. Don't forget कि glucose was an organic compound. So जब glucose टूटा, when it is broken down, it is completely converted into carbon dioxide and water. And don't forget, carbon dioxide and water both are inorganic in nature, because carbon dioxide के अंदर hydrogen नहीं है and water के अंदर carbon नहीं है, ठीक है? So they are inorganic. So a glucose molecule which is organic in nature is perfectly converted into inorganic products. Got it? While on the other hand, in case of anaerobic respiration, अल्कोहल बन रहा है, लैक्टिक एसिड बन रहा है, C3H5OH, तो इट्स अ ऑर्गेनिक मॉलिक्यूल. सो एक ऑर्गेनिक मॉलिक्यूल टूटा विच इज ग्लूकोज, और उसको कंप्लीटली कन्वर्ट करने के बजाय हाफ वे में एक और ऑर्गेनिक कंपाउंड बन गया. सो इट्स नॉट कंप्लीटली ऑक्सीडाइज्ड, ठीक है? So that is the second difference between these two. Third one is aerobic respiration always results in carbon dioxide and water, while in case of anaerobic respiration, ethyl alcohol and carbon dioxide are produced, and in case of lactic acid fermentation, lactic acid is being produced. So there is no water concept in case of anaerobic respiration. Fourth difference is the exchange of gases between environment and organism. आपको मैंने अभी थोड़ी देर पहले बताया कि the carbon dioxide which is taken up by green plants during photosynthesis produce oxygen, and that oxygen is being consumed by us. And as a result, when we are going to produce carbon dioxide, that is again expired or just exhaled into the environment. So we are actually performing the exchange of gases between environment and organism, right? So we are actually exchanging the gases with the environment. Environment से oxygen ले रहे हैं और उसको in return carbon dioxide दे रहे हैं. On the other hand, in case of anaerobic respiration, there is no exchange of gases involved. Why? Because there is no concept of oxygen in it. So there is no exchange of gases. In aerobic respiration, metabolic water is formed. Metabolic water means the water that is formed as a result of breakdown. So the carbon dioxide in water, which is produced, is actually the metabolic water. And in case of anaerobic respiration, no metabolic water is formed, just alcohol or lactic acid are produced. Next, it occurs partially in cytoplasm and partially in mitochondria. I'm talking about aerobic respiration, while in case of anaerobic respiration, occurs entirely in cytoplasm. So occurrence कहाँ पर होता है, that is the difference. Cytoplasm दोनों के अंदर involved है, but mitochondria सिर्फ और सिर्फ aerobic respiration के अंदर involved होता है, जबकि anaerobic में mitochondria involved नहीं होता. Aerobic respiration was overall 38 ATPs molecules formed of a glucose molecule. यहाँ पर confuse नहीं होना है because 38 ATPs total बनते हैं, but उसमें से 2 ATPs उस process के अंदर consume हो जाते हैं. So that's why हमारे पास जो net amount of ATP रहता है that is 36. So normally we consider 36. लेकिन net और total में फर्क है. Total 38 होते हैं, लेकिन उसमें से 2 consume होने के बाद 36 बच जाते हैं जो कि हम store कर लेते हैं. So that's why we normally say 36 ATPs. While in case of anaerobic respiration, only 2 molecules from a glucose, 2 molecules of ATPs are formed of a one single glucose molecule. In aerobic respiration, there is an involvement of electron transport chain. If you remember, we have already discussed about this thing, that how electrons are carried from one carrier to another in case of photosynthesis. Similarly, in aerobic respiration, there's also an electron transport chain in which the electrons are carried from one carrier to another and ATP is being produced. While in case of anaerobic respiration, there is no electron transport required because there is no involvement of oxygen and no extra ATPs are being produced. And last, process runs continuously throughout life in the plants and animals. Aerobic respiration never ever stops, especially in case of plants and animals. Just think about yourself. जब तक हम सांस ले रहे हैं तो सांस का ताल्लुक रेस्पिरेशन से है. So जब तक लाइफ कंटिन्यू हो रही है, plants and animals both are respiring. While in case of anaerobic respiration, ये microorganisms के अंदर तो मुस्तकिल होता है, but अगर हम अपनी बात करें, जिस तरह से हमने lactic acid fermentation की बात की है, तो it's temporary, it's for short period, or during oxygen deficiency we shift towards the anaerobic respiration. But as soon as we get recovered, हम उस फेज से बाहर निकल आते हैं, हम रेस्टिंग फेज में आ जाते हैं, तो हमारी बॉडी वापस एनारोबिक से एरोबिक पर शिफ्ट कर जाती है.